Hi, my name is Shireen Garib, and I'm Deputy Director of the Washington, DC International Film Festival. If you haven't already seen it, I hope everyone has a chance to see The Marriage Escape. It is a clever and entertaining glimpse about a husband smothered by his wife's love, the poor soul. And it was the highest grossing Dutch film last year. The Marriage Escape is the opening film of the second half of Filmfest DC. And we're very pleased to have with us the accomplished director of this film, Johan Nijenhuis. I'm also pleased to introduce Vera Kuipers, Senior Cultural Policy Officer at the Consulate General of the Netherlands in New York, who will be with us to lead today's conversation. Johan and Vera, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, Shireen.
Thank you so much. So let's get this conversation started. Johan, first of all, you're a director from the Netherlands, and I think it would be great because you're maybe a new name for American viewers to tell a little bit more about yourself. I mean, me being Dutch, I of course know most of your work, but for a lot of American viewers, you might be new. So please introduce yourself.
Well, I started out right after film school with a lot of soap operas, and that's really where I earned my mileage. Doing daily soaps, and then desperately trying to get my break into feature films at the age of 30 with a romantic comedy about this odd tradition that the Dutch have, is sending their teenagers off to the coast of Spain for a summer holiday, very much like spring break in the USA. And been in the movies ever since.
That's great. Yes, I do remember Costa. I'm definitely from that generation, I would say, and the soap operas in the Netherlands. That's why when I was introduced to your film through the festival, I was very excited to see that you actually went a different direction. It's not your usual romantic comedy. Can you tell us a little more about this change in style and how this story came to you?
Well, when you're 30, and the big advice always is film about what you know, just like in writing, write about what you know. When you're 30, you know very well what it's like to be 18. But I've turned 50, and I'm not so interested anymore in stories about drinking and binging and desperately trying to score that one girl at the age of 18. It's actually a relief to be able to make films about people over the age of 50. And the strange thing is that when I was 30, I thought life over 50 was going to be very boring. I guess a lot of 20-somethings feel that way, where once you've reached that age, you can still write about what you know, and there's a lot of good stories to be told.
And then you're like, oh, it's not too bad after all. new opportunities.
Well, you know, you always take your personal life, and The Marriage Escape was written by the first version was from Radek Bajgar. He's from the Czech Republic, and when he finished, he also finished going through a nasty divorce. And his ex-wife told him afterwards, well, why did you write a movie? Next time, just write me a letter. Mm-hmm. The film Herman, the lead character, and I made was rewritten by Herman, our main actor, a very famous comedian in the Netherlands. We made the leading lady such a more loving character. In the version from the Czech Republic, she wasn't very nice to Jan. Whereas we took the approach that she kind of smothers him in love, and that's where a lot of the humor stems from.
Yes, I did compare some notes about the Czech version and then yours. I also read that Herman Vinkers, who indeed is a famous comedian in the Netherlands, wrote the script. How did you end up working together? I think you are also it's your stomping grounds, right? The
That's
area.
correct. Yeah. We're both from the east of the Netherlands, which is pretty much farmland. Um, and it's also a mindset. In a lot of TV drama and in a lot of films, we see characters clashing. That's very convenient writing. If somebody says this, then the other says the opposite, then they fight, and bam, there you have drama. Whereas a lot of people from the east of the Netherlands have the same temper as the Scandinavians. They think they don't like something, but they won't say it. They'll keep it inside. They'll keep it inside for a long time, and that's visible from the characters in the film. But that's also the way Herman and I worked on the script. We had our artistic differences, and with hot-tempered persons, we would have gotten in a fight. But instead, Herman and I stayed very polite and said, well, neither of us is the kind of person to argue about this, but. And then you do continue to argue in a very tempered way.
Yeah, it sounds like a very constructive process, and that's also about my next question. Since, well, for the American viewers, this movie, of course, has subtitles, which, as a Dutch viewer, I also needed those because I'm not very well known with the dialect that's been spoken. So could you tell us a little bit more about that? Because that's quite unique, actually, to choose to shoot a film in a certain dialect. I think it's the first time that happened in Holland.
In this specific East Border dialect, yes, it's the first feature film that was shot. Europe has a lot of regional dialects with their own grammar and their own words. Herman and I both speak Twents, which is very close to German, but it is a language of its own. And Herman and Johanna plays the part of Gerda, his wife, were born in the region, speak it very well. But it gave me a difficult time casting because there's only, let's say, 400,000 people that still speak it well. So when it came to casting all the other parts, I had to draw talent from those 400,000, basically 5 cities and 20 villages. So we worked with a lot of amateur actors in the bit parts. Luckily, the parts of his family, I could cast with talent that has been in front of camera before, but the grandmother is on the screen for the very first time. His son is on the screen for the very first time. So it took us a while to get everybody in place.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I was going to ask about the casting process because I recognized some faces, obviously, from the Netherlands. And indeed, I figured there were some new faces there. Did most of them, so I think one actor probably wasn't originally from Twente or didn't speak the language. Everyone else did.
It was really hard to cast young people in these parts because these regional dialects are disappearing really fast. I was born in 1968, and when I grew up until the mid-70s, there was not a lot of TV in when I grew up. So we spoke our dialect. But when you're born after 1980, you're born with 24 hours of TV. You're born with radio, and that's all the national language. So the part of the controlling new partner had to be casted from outside the region because we just couldn't find anybody who could perform and speak the dialect.
I see. Yes. No, I was very intrigued by that, and it sounded really interesting. Yeah, I caught some bits of German in there and Dutch, and it's just very. Yeah. It kind of like gave me a different perspective on watching the film with a different angle, and I also thought you really put the region on the map. It was the beautiful exterior and nature. Can you tell us a little bit more about Twente and like scouting the locations?
Well, wasn't very hard actually. Herman pretty much wrote the scenes with certain places in mind. And we had to control ourselves in not making it a homage to yesteryear. It is nowadays to enter, and just after the first 6 or 7 shots where you think, oh, what a lovely area where he's walking with his donkey, we cut to an area where a highway crosses nature. So it is modern times, but yeah, luckily there's still some beautiful areas around.
Yes, I really enjoyed that. I thought the Netherlands Tourism Board would probably be very happy with showing a different side of the Netherlands on film. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but is this actually the first time one of your films got selected for an American festival? Or have you been screened here before?
It is the first time one of my films is on an American festival. Films have been seen in the US before, though. There's a couple of my titles that can be seen on Netflix. There's a film, Fuchsia, the Mini Witch, which was bought by Disney and Buena Vista 10 years ago. I love festivals, but I also love the fact that once you go beyond the festivals, there's a lot of viewers. There's a lot more viewers out there that can enjoy the work.
Yes, and especially nowadays, because I read your film opened right before the pandemic really took off. And I think it had a rerun actually in the cinemas in the Netherlands. And it was also recently premiered, I think, on King's Day as a feature film on Dutch TV. So you really won multiple awards in terms of viewership, people attending the movie in person. Oh, yeah.
We had a wonderful run, and we had 4 weeks in the theaters, being the #1 film before everything had to close down because of the lockdown in March.
Yes.
Maybe the most surprising thing is that at the end of the year, we won the Critics Award as well, which we never expected, because my debut wasn't received very well by the critics.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
But you see, you grow.
Exactly. Yeah, so the run also using it, did you get a Netflix deal for this film as well, or it will after this festival? Do you know if it will be available?
Netflix. Don't stare too much at Netflix. They pay pretty bad. Having said that, I'm luckily Dutch public television picked this one up.
Yes, that's great, and I read that it had lots of viewers actually, breaking many records. So that's really exciting. Do you usually work with the same creative team and crew, or did you also seek out more people from the region this time?
No, I pretty much have the same team around me. My DOP and I, we've been working together for 16 films now, so we actually don't need a lot of preparation together. It's kind of we send each other some pictures or paintings of things that inspire us for the film. And actually, the first day of shooting, we don't really know yet what the style of the film is going to be. It usually takes 2 or 3 days before we really get into it.
Oh, so you're not too rigid from the get-go. You really give it a time to develop in the first couple days.
Yeah, I'm very keen on getting all the lines right and getting the script, getting the story beats right, finding the locations. But I only storyboard scenes that have a stunt or that really require production to know exactly what we're going to do. But on set, I like to leave some space for the actors to come up with their own plan, their own ideas, and build it from there.
The dialogue in the film, I thought I had to chuckle quite a lot, honestly, even with the translation. So I thought whoever translated it did a really good job in terms of the subtitles. Because Dutch can be direct and have a certain type of humor, and I'm sure the region has specific expressions. Have you been involved with that to make sure nothing got lost in translation?
Yes, both Herman and I worked on the subtitles. We also made sure that nothing got lost when you translate it into English. And with that regional dialect, we often say, well, the most important thing that's being said is in the silences. And The people from the region are very good at understatements. For instance, if somebody shows you a painting that is, well, people from Amsterdam would say, "Oh, that's wonderful. That's a fantastic painting." And somebody from the Eastern region will say, "Doesn't look bad." And that's a compliment. Now, if somebody cooked a wonderful dinner for you, somebody from the Eastern part will say, "I've had worse." And that's a compliment. So yeah, we had to make sure that sense of speech stayed up in subtitles.
Yeah, I think, for me, I guess it came across really well because I really enjoyed that. And there were quite some laughs, and indeed some dry humor was definitely involved, but it was also it seemed like a very personal journey story for the main characters to explore and get to know themselves better. Did any of your personal friends or families or from Herman like made it into the story? Any people that you were inspired by?
Yes. When I started writing and directing 25 years ago, I was very much looking at people from the outside and saying, well, this is a character like, and then you pick somebody else from fiction. But that's not a very smart thing to do, because the number of sitcoms that have been trying to impersonate a Monica or a Joey are just too many out there. And so basically every character in that film is somebody Herman or I know.
That's very interesting. I'm sure that some of the people in your personal circles were a little nervous maybe watching the film then. I think we're almost through our time here, so I think I'm going to just ask you the final question I had in mind. Like, what's cooking right now? Do you have anything else in the works for international release?
I'm working on a script for the leading actress in The Marriage Escape, Johan Nijenhuis.
She's amazing. Yes,
she is an amazing actress. She's been in a lot of international renowned art house hits. I'm working on a story for her, and Herman is writing other things than films. He's been a solo performer in theater for years, and he's not working on another theater show. He's not saying yet what he wants to do, but he's working on writing new stuff.
Wow, and also about your productions, like of course you focus mostly first on the Dutch film scene, but a lot of your films are visible, or like they are available in different territories. Do you also work on co-productions? Are there specific countries you prefer working with? Do you do Germany?
I've been able to shoot a love story in Cuba. I've been able to shoot a love story on the Spanish island Ibiza. I've done a romantic comedy in Tuscany, and that was a lot of fun to work on.
Yes.
But it's always been Dutch characters.
Yes.
And when I was 25, my biggest dream was to make it out in Hollywood. But by the time I've had my third feature out in Holland, I was 35. And realized, what do I know about Americans? I've lived in Los Angeles for a year as an exchange student when I was 16. But then you're looking in from the outside, and I realized it's Dutch characters that I can write. It's Dutch characters that I know, can direct. So my main focus has been here.
I see. Well, that's I'm looking forward to see what's coming up next, and I wish you a lot of continued success in your career, and thank you for your time. Thank you, Johan.
Thank you. Bye.